Good morning. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It's Wednesday, September 28th. This update is based on the 11 a.m. National Hurricane Center update. It's closer to 12 o'clock p.m. here on the East Coast. I just want to show you a spectacular satellite image from a meteorological perspective. Folks, this is almost a Category 5 hurricane. Ian has winds of 155 miles per hour right now, with wind gusts to 175 miles per hour. As a matter of fact, a drop sonde out of one of the hurricane hunters did record winds just a half a kilometer above the surface at 160 miles per hour. Could have been a wind gust, but we have a major hurricane, a high-end Cat 4 hurricane that's making landfall right now over the next 3 to 4 to 5 hours, and it's impacting southwest Florida. You can see this mesoscale sector, this satellite image sector, that's looks like a perfect buzzsaw, and that's how it's going to treat the land as it makes landfall here shortly. As a matter of fact, we're talking about high storm surge levels. Because Ian increased in intensity to 155 miles per hour, storm surge predictions for areas like Port Charlotte, Charlotte Harbor, have gone up to 18 feet. So storm surges are already running south around Naples up to 4 feet, which is a record high storm surge for Naples. Now, this is all along the coast. We also have some tornado warnings that are happening inland, and we also have impacts to bridges. I'll show you the Tampa Bay Skyway Bridge here in just a second. I do want to remind everybody here within the SICE All Hazards Consortium teammates that this is a Phase 2 update. We are now imminent with the landfall of Hurricane Ian, and so everyone should be in their safe places. Everyone should be staged where they're going to be staged. Utility vehicles are still making their ways in to response activities through mutual assistance. They are staging in safe places. And certainly, we're going to be continuing these updates through the day today and also into the recovery phase. But we do have a serious storm on our hands. This is the visible sector for that same mesoscale sector. This is imagery every minute. You might see some flashes here and there due to some data hits processing the satellite data, but you can just see that distinct eye. As a matter of fact, people in Sarasota County, down towards Englewood, will likely experience the eye of Hurricane Ian, where the winds will drop down from 100 to 130 miles per hour down to almost zero. And then the winds will pick up once again when the back edge of the hurricane arrives. I'll zoom in on this a little bit further. You can see that eye spinning. It's just incredible. Winds around that inner core at 155 miles per hour. And you can see almost what we call mesovortices, small vortexes going around the eye wall. They can do extensive damage when the storm comes inland. Analysis has been done by Fujita and his team years ago after Hurricane Andrew made landfall, and this is like a buzzsaw coming ashore. Now, I want to show you GeoCollaborate because I want to show you the wind field. The wind field is extending very far out from the center. Take a look right now. This is the current wind field in yellow for Hurricane Ian. This is the tropical storm force winds. You can see that they're already over Tampa Bay, and they're already still impacting the Florida Keys. Florida Keys had storm surges of 2 to 4, some areas 5 feet when this storm intensified overnight. These polygons that you see right here too are tornado warnings. You will see them pop in and pop out as the National Weather Service issues tornado warnings coming out of the bands, particularly to in the right east quadrant. The northeast quadrant of a hurricane is where we'll see tornadoes spin up, all because of that intense changing in direction of the wind speed. But I also want to show you, these are the storm surge indications. We have Category 4, Hurricane Ian, that will be making landfall in the next 4 to 5 hours. perhaps even sooner as the eye wall moves on shore. And then it will start to move inland and with a lot of rain. We're talking 15 to 20 inches of rain, particularly to the north and west of the center of where the hurricane moves through. But this particular product is showing the wind field of the hurricane force winds. That is this circle right in here. And as that moves inland, all of these areas in this width from Sarasota to including Cape Coral will experience devastating winds all along this line. Now, the storm is forecast by the Hurricane Center to decrease in intensity to a Category 1 by 2 o'clock in the morning Thursday. But this is a long time for this hurricane to go from here to here. It's moving quite slow. So many of you may have seen tweets or posts in social media of Tampa Bay that is emptying out in certain places. That's because the winds are strong from the east. They're coming around the hurricane. They're strong from the east, so they're pushing water out of Tampa Bay. It's called a blowout. And that's happening to any of these waterways that are north of the center. As long as the winds are coming east to west, we're going to see lower than average tide levels. However, on the backside of the storm, from the south of the eye, we're seeing record storm surges now hitting the coastline. Naples is at 4 feet and increasing rapidly, and we'll see the same thing as the storm moves inland, particularly right here in Charlotte Harbor. Matter of fact, I'll click on this right here to show you 12 to 18 feet is now the storm surge forecast for Charlotte Harbor. And that storm surge extends up to the north from the middle of Longboat Key to Englewood. A 6 to 10 foot storm surge is predicted. That is going to produce devastating results because of the rapid rise of water. And that storm surge does not include wave action on top of that surge. So you might get 3 to 5 foot waves on top of a 6 foot surge or a 7 foot surge, or wherever that happens. It could be up to 10 as predicted by the National Hurricane Center. Now in Tampa Bay, I'm moving a little bit further north here just to click on this storm surge here. It says 4 to 6 feet. That's the forecast for storm surge for Tampa Bay, 4 to 6 feet. That won't happen until the winds shift around to the northwest and the west. So the storm will have to get parallel to Tampa Bay. We'll have to get up here before those winds that water starts rushing into Tampa Bay, because the winds will be coming around and then back in. So it'll be pushing the Gulf of Mexico into Tampa Bay. So where it has drained or continues to drain, it will fill up rapidly once the storm, the winds around the storm switch direction. So what I want to do is show you the rainfall, and I'm going to back up here. First of all, Florida and Georgia have declared states of emergency for this storm. Why? Because Hurricane Ian is now forecast to move out over the ocean and back in to eastern Georgia. And that track will update, but what I want to show you here is the forecast rainfall amount. First, the rainfall that has fallen over the last 3 days. This is really very interesting because it shows you how much rain has fallen. And let me go to the right folder here within GeoCollaborate to pull that up. This is how much rain has fallen over the last 3 days. So you can see all of this pink down here in this region. And I'll zoom in here a little bit. This is more than 10 to 15 inches of rain. It's fallen over the Gulf of Mexico, so no problem. It's just the hydrologic cycle, the rain falling back into the Gulf. But you can see these large amounts that are following the hurricane with its path. Also, out of the spiral bands, the bands feeding into the hurricane, there are rainfall totals of 3 to 5 inches that have been recorded already in southeastern Florida, and even more rain off the eastern coast of Florida. Now I'm going to turn that layer off because I want to show you now what the prediction is for the next 7 days. So we have the path of the storm. You can see where it's, and let me center that up there a little bit. You can see these storm totals of rainfall. I'll turn off the hurricane path so it doesn't confuse anybody. I'll turn off the hurricane path here, the cone actually. Here we go. So I've turned that off, and now you're just looking at rainfall totals over a 7-day period. Of course, this is going to fall over the next 3 days or so, 3 to 4 days. This swath of rain right here is 10 to 15 inches of rain with some pockets of 20 inches possible. That's going to happen on the direct northwest side of the eye of the storm, the center of the storm, as it moves up through central Florida. That includes Orlando. We're looking at a potential of 10 to 15 inches of rain happening in this swath right here. Now, you can see it falls off rather quickly. This is only a quarter of an inch of rain and a tenth of an inch of rain out here. So there's going to be a distinct cutoff. However, the rain is going to be intense. It's going to cause, in some cases, catastrophic flooding because you just can't evacuate 10 to 15 inches of rain that falls in such a short period of time and so intensely. Now I'm going to move up to the state of Georgia and South Carolina. There are storm surge, there are max storm surge products being issued by the National Weather Service. And that storm surge product, let me see if I can click on the right spot here. I have a couple of different products displayed, but I want to display there we go, from the Flagler of Volusia County line to the South Santee River. Storm surges of 3 to 5 feet are possible in this area. 3 to 5 feet. Now I'm going to go down here because I want to address Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Florida has a major river here. This river is the St. Johns River, and it flows out into the ocean. However, when heavy rains fall, the water drains into the St. Johns River, and it wants to flow out into the ocean. However, strong winds that are coming onshore from Hurricane Ian, which at this time would be Tropical Storm Ian, will try to force water into the river. The result is that in this area, the river is going to rise and rise very quickly. That's going to cause flooding in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. That's why these storm surge advisories are here. When you combine a 3 to 5 foot storm surge with water that's swelling from heavy rain, and the two are mixing, the only thing the water is going to do is go up. Going to go up and flood into the city. So if you live along this river, this St. Johns River here in northeastern Florida, prepare for major flooding. Anyone who lives along this river. That's going to impact critical infrastructure. It's going to impact any electrical substations that are nearby. It's going to impact transportation for roads being flooded. And in a major city like Jacksonville, that could be a serious impact. Now I'm going to move up to the north. I'll zoom out just a little bit and move to the north into Georgia, because Georgia is going to experience storm surge as well from this storm as it starts to move towards the Georgia coast. Now let me just move out here. It's just playing a little bit with the zoom. I'm just going to zoom out a tad there. There we go. So as Ian starts to move inland from the National Hurricane Center's forecast as a tropical storm, we're going to see concentrated areas of heavy rain. So in southeast Georgia, the chance for rainfall totals of 6 to 7 inches is very likely. Some cases, some local areas could see up to 10 inches of rain in southeast Georgia, which will cause devastating flooding there as well. But you see, the amount of rain drops off rather quickly on the western side of the storm. So you can see there's only a quarter of an inch to a tenth of an inch of rain in northwestern Georgia that's expected over the next 7 days. Atlanta is right on the line of 1 inch to 2 inches of rain. It could be more as the storm moves further north, But currently, the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center is forecasting about 1 to 3 inches of rain for the eastern suburbs of Atlanta. But then as you drive down or get down into eastern and southeastern Georgia, up to 7 inches of rain. And you can't rule out up to 10 inches of rain there. This is going to be a high impact event with a high surge along the coastline. So those of you in Savannah, expect the Savannah River to rise up because of the high surge coming in, and water tries to drain through the Savannah River as well. So there are numerous schools that are closed over the next couple of days in Georgia, along in the Savannah area, southeast Georgia. And in South Carolina, we're also going to see potential storm surge. This also is a 3 to 5 foot storm surge. It goes to the south of the Santee River here. So that's just north of Charleston. And you can see there's a storm surge expected there. This storm has a very large wind field. Remember, I showed that to you at the very beginning. And so when we see that kind of wind field, we know that it's going to move a lot of water. So I'll turn the track back on, and I will turn off the forecasted rainfall totals for the next 7 days. You can see all of the advisories, these storm surge advisories for max storm surge have been issued. Even the Space Coast could see storm surge totals of 2 to 4 feet. That's what this blue line is. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more so I can just click on that line. Let's go here. There we go. Sorry, 1 to 3 feet is this blue line. So from Patrick Air Force Base to the Flagler Volusia County line, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge is expected. So once again, we have serious impacts from Hurricane Ian. And Hurricane Ian, I'm going to turn on the weather radar data. And we're going to, I had to switch over to the Weather Service's cloud services to get the latest radar data, as there are some other issues going on with the other service. However, this is where the hurricane is currently. And we're talking at, we're now at 12:13 p.m. The eye wall is beginning to come on shore, and that is around Naples. You can see they're just a tad away from the eye wall, but strong, very strong southerly and southwesterly winds are pushing the Gulf of Mexico into Naples, into Sanibel Island, where major flooding is happening right now. And this is the terrible part of the hurricane. This is the eye wall, and it looks like it's going to be moving into, let me just turn off for a second, the storm surge advisories, just so we can see the peak storm surge. We can take those away so we can see more of the coastline here. So we're talking about Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Bonita Springs, and the beaches there are getting a terrible storm surge. Also up towards Port Charlotte. Here is Port Charlotte right here, and the winds are very, very strong from the south, pushing water into this area towards Fort Myers and starting to shift. In just about an hour or two, will shift to the south, and water will flood into Port Charlotte and create quite a bit of storm surge. Remember, the forecast there is for a storm surge of up to 18 feet. So I'm going to pan out here just a little bit. This is weather radar data. You can see it updating as I move this map around in real time. Here is Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg. So the wind is blowing this way from Tampa and St. Petersburg. Matter of fact, I have a camera with video from the Skyway Bridge. That's what it looks like here on the Skyway Bridge. You can see the water still being pushed out. The mouth of Tampa Bay is to the right. Tampa Bay is to the left of the Skyway Bridge. Of course, this goes over Tampa Bay, but you can still see the water being pushed out of the bay towards the Gulf of Mexico. Once that wind shifts around in Tampa, the water will be blowing the other way, and it will start to surge. And there's a 3 to 5 foot storm surge likely. Under 6 feet will not flood any of the causeways, but I have to remind you, 12 to 15 inches of rain is predicted. That will cause quite a bit of flooding on all of Tampa, roadways, as well as St. Petersburg. Any area in Central Florida there, we're going to have major flooding across roadways. I do want to say that the Florida Department of Transportation has closed all of the bridges because of the wind restrictions. You can see why. It is not safe to drive any vehicle over a bridge that is so exposed to the wind. So that's the update for this morning. 11 o'clock update again. Ian is a strong Category 4 hurricane, just 2 miles away from becoming a Category 5 hurricane, the strongest hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. And we're going to just see devastating damage along the path of the eye wall and just outside of the eye wall. And then we're going to see tremendous, historic amounts of flooding from heavy rain, 15 to 20 inches of rain. Some areas could see 24 inches of rain out of this system because it's moving so slow. We'll keep you updated. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This has been All Hazards Sensitive Information Sharing Environment Update. We'll post another one later on this afternoon or early this evening, and we'll see you then.